us on this.
Well, first of all, thank you both very much for the presentation. What action, if any, is being asked of the City Council and the city generally?
I think at this point, Mayor, we would like to, after any questions, we would like to be given the go-ahead to pursue this. There's obviously a legal document that we would need to create between
Be a license agreement.
Incoming Tide Entertainment, who is Eric's production company, and the city, enunciating the terms and conditions for this event, for this festival.
Informal acceptance to go forward, and we'd have to come back to you with a license agreement at some point to use the facility.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tarantino.
Yeah, just to understand this better, this is going, everything's on the outside of Wildcliff.
That's correct. It's all exterior with portable restrooms and such, tent. There's a whole host of things.
You know, there's some new residential that was built in there, and there's other residential. You know, I think it's a great idea, but my concern is that why not do it in Hudson Park as opposed to this area, simply because if it's outdoor music or noise until 10 o'clock at night, it seems to infringe on the quality of life of the people that are living almost next door to the property. And I was just curious to know why that hasn't been looked
I
into.
think the reason we decided this is we have a full feature and expose of Hudson Park through the year. This is deliberately targeted really to showcase the property. As you probably know, we spent significant money in buttoning up the facility and redoing the exterior to the building, and we have not been successful from a development point of view in enticing a community partner to use the site. So we thought this would be wonderful exposure, especially in the metropolitan area, to the kind of uses that we think would be showcased.
Okay, another step is by using the parking lot, that really doesn't help enhance or allow people to really see what the building is all about. It's buttoned up and shut down, so whoever gets there really isn't going to get a full feel of what the building's about. You know, I'm just concerned about the neighbors in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
It's something that, you know, should be looked at and addressed before anything is done to make sure that we don't have a major issue there. You know, how many people are you talking about coming?
We're talking about 500 or so.
Not at one time.
Not at one time.
Okay.
Over the course of the 4 days, it's 4 days.
So it's not really a high impact.
Not a tremendous amount. And
I was going to say, on average per show, you get in the Berkshires or in Woodstock at their Fringe, they average 54 to 100 people per show.
Right.
So
Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great idea. I just have a concern because of the neighborhood right next to it, and the fact that right next to this property we have Hudson Park, which, you know, this area acts as almost like a buffer between the residential neighborhood and
the residential area, though, is relatively small, so it should not be difficult for us to solicit their
okay,
opinions.
it's just to let them, I think,
we would,
importantly, to let them know what's going on, so that,
before we come back to you
get a
with
bunch
the
of phone
agreement.
calls the day of the event.
Yeah,
before we bring a license agreement back to council, we will have done that work and make sure that they're
we always consider our neighbors. They're our best allies, so we would want to.
Because it seems.
Just to clarify too, it's not just the use of the parking lot. There's an outdoor stage on the grounds that will be utilized for the actual performance.
Which, by the way, I think has been used in the past when we had theater groups there. But you're right; we should let them know.
There's no question.
I don't want to get a call on a
I just didn't want to get
Saturday
too
night that there's something going on and nobody knows about it.
We just didn't want to get too far down in the planning stages and then not have this discussion with you folks to see whether or not it was palatable.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Councilmember Fertel.
President Bill, you are on a roll. We're going to talk about the ice rink later, but it seems to me you're on a roll tonight in terms of this event. It's very intriguing. I went to the Edinburgh Festival many years ago, and I enjoyed it. I also go regularly to the New York City Festival. And I think it's a very intriguing, positive idea to provide relatively low-expense cultural art to New Rochelle and create a name for not too much buck to get a lot of bang. I guess I have a couple of questions. It's a relatively close period of time to when we're doing it. And you have to really decide what's going to be performed there and sort of winnow it out. And that's a very difficult process because what you see on paper or in front of you is a lot different than what it actually shows up in the stage. And I guess my question, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, what process do you anticipate employing to arrive at the ultimate productions that you'll be showing?
Well, it's a tight schedule, and most Fringe festivals work from 6 months to a year out.
Right.
I started this back in January, and because of the the government part of it, it takes us a little bit longer. So immediately after the approval, I would solicit submissions from playwrights, and I have 2 or 3 networks that I use within New York City to get playwrights to send me their work, and then I'm working with choreographers from New Rochelle that are now in New York City working in that same field, as well as a musical director who's going to work for me in finding musical acts. And in theater, I can grab anyone in the Northeast at this point to probably put something together in 4 months. So I feel confident that we can have a good production.
My next question, is this going to be totally subject to the vicissitudes of the weather?
No, we have a tent and a stage, and we're using a company, Atlas.
Okay, good.
I think they're in Westchester. I don't think they're in New Rochelle, though. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm very intrigued by this idea. It's one of these things in this economy we can try and develop, which will attract positive impact in New Rochelle without costing the taxpayers or the public a lot of money. So it's in the embryonic stage, I understand, right? Mm-hmm. But, hope springs eternal, and I'm very hopeful that you will be able to develop something that's very positive.
And then if I can add one more thing, the reason why we didn't use the proscenium stage at Hudson Park is because it's not self-contained, so it doesn't allow itself to be a commercially viable entity. And people are used to having free projects there, so I don't want them to confuse it. I don't know how to contain that area and then tent it as well. I mean, it'd be a great area, but when you go into Wildcliff Manor and you overlook the Long Island Sound with the stage in front of you, I mean, that's just an amazing view. I mean, you can see clear over to Long Island, and the whole ambiance would attract a lot of people.
Other
As
questions?
well as showcase the property.
Other questions or comments from council? If I'm reading the mood of the council correctly, then I think you do have the go-ahead to explore the license agreement with the request that Councilmember Tarantino made.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.